Continuing in lesson 5 on page 114, we're going to go and open up our egret start. We won't use bridge, we'll just do file and open as smart object. Back to our data files, we'll find egretstart.jpg. You can close the new library from document. First, let's save this thing. We'll do a file save as. Make sure we choose Photoshop document PSD. And we'll call this thing egretworking.psd. Notice when we look in the layers panel that by opening it as a smart object, this thing looks like a smart object inside the layers panel. With the smart object, you can edit the original, and that will change inside of Photoshop. Our goal in this exercise is to put a blur around the background and let the egret foreground stay sharp. We'll use a filter for that. We'll go to Filter, Blur Gallery, and come down and choose Iris Blur. Note the other blur tools available here in the Blur Gallery. Right now we have on just the Iris Blur. We will drag this center pin, center our blur, somewhere around here, again matching more or less the settings of the book, kind of on the egret's body. Next we'll click on the edge of this ellipse where the blur is and drag it in so it's around the egret itself, and I'll adjust the center a little bit. Now we'll use our Alt or Option key, Windows and Mac, to adjust these handles so we can control exactly where this feathering is. I'll use my Alt key on my Windows and drag it out a little bit. And when you use the Alt key, that lets you drag each of these four individually. So I'll drag them more or less to where they have in the book. In particular, I'll drag the left and right ones out a little bit so more of the egret is shown, not blurred. And I'll drag this one up here. You can use this focus ring here in the middle to control the amount of blur. I'll drag it down to the number 5, which gives a subtle blurring in the background, leaving the foreground sharp. We'll hit OK to accept this. Take a look at the original image. If you want to go back and make a change, let's say we do, we'll double click on the Blur Gallery. That'll open up our Blur Gallery one more time. We can come in here, we'll change the blur from 5 to 6. With that, we have focused on the egret and blurred out the background. I will point out that the background, some of the background is still sharp. We only blurred outside of this ring. A better but more complicated way to do this would be to select the egret, the entire egret, and put it on its own separate layer, and then blur the background layer. Then you can get this area to blur as well.